Welcome to Borre. Borre is probably the most sacred place and a very important powerful place, also in terms of political power in Norway. It's close to Oslo and Drammen and Horten, the closest city, just up here. But it's on this place where all these burial mounds, which I will show you just now. And I've been, my friend here, I'm writing a book with him about the Viking Age, but he is actually the park chief of the big Viking market, which is down here, where they have 700 tents, lots of families spending a whole week, the first week of July. And in the weekend it's open to public, and they've had 12,500 people inside. Well, it's just on the outside of this sacred ground. But let me tell you this. Boy, I love these places that are these old sacred places. I mean, as you may know from my earlier videos, for patrons at least, I've been putting out videos from these sacred places, the holy places around in Norway, where we find all the same names, the holy place names, which still exist today. Lund, Ve, and so many others, and where he lives, and we are writing the book about Vikings. There we have Hov, and Thor, even Thor and Odin is there. Not Tyr, like Tysnes, but many other places. So we're trying to read the landscape. It's pretty close to Denmark here, and that's why this place is also a very special, powerful place. The Danes will come up here. The royal house which ruled here had control of the whole watershed up here, one of the most important watersheds in Norway in terms of iron. Which came down as bog iron from the mountains. The whole watershed here, it just culminated here, and if you controlled this area, maybe I can put up a map. If you control this area, then you controlled the fjord into Oslo and the fjord into Drammen, where the watershed is. And here you find some of the richest places in Norway in terms of weapons and gold and helmets, and also the noble families that came to rule Norway and break their bond with Denmark. And Denmark, whenever they had power struggles in their dynasties competing, the Norwegians would find a way to break free. So look at this. See that down there? These are the 7th century Merovingian times, pre-Viking Age burial mounds, which are stone røyser, we call them. And there are more on the other side over here. They're a little bit further up. And then in the Viking Age, these were built. And listen, they're all put in half a circle around here. Half a circle. And this has been, as you can see here, this has been robbed actually in the Viking Age. So they believe this was a struggle or fight or battle between dynasties, and the dynasty that took over this place would rob the ancient places. As you can see on this one also, it's been robbed. But the peculiar thing I find is, first of all, if you can see around this burial mound, there is it looks like a, how do you say this, around the castles in the Middle Ages. Must have been, that's what they think, water around when they had ceremonies. Right now the only ceremonies they have are every year when they have the metal festival over on this side. Really nice place over there. Lots of drunk people, and then you have the Viking market down there with many people, and they would go on ceremonies coming from the Viking village every year up here and ending up here doing some kind of ceremonies. And as I understand, a lot of drunk people have fallen down from here. But let me get back to this half circle here, because you see one down there and there's another one and another one here, another down there also. So it's circling something. And what is that? Well, that is the bay. And there's also a Viking ship down here underneath the ground. So they're going to do georadar now to learn more about the bay. The water is not where it is today. It was higher up, closer to here. So Danish kings, for example, and princesses would come up here, like Harald Klak, we know he was here. Also Snorre Sturlason came here some centuries later, the one who wrote many of these sagas. And they would put the ships down there where you see there are some people taking wedding photos. About there is where the ships would be. They would come in, there were 2 piers out, we know this. And now they're going to do georadar to try to find exactly where the waterline was. And so you would come in here in this small bay, you would put the ships up here, and then you would walk by these huge burial mounds and circling them, and the road, and remember this, in all ceremonies in the past, it was really important with this, we call them processions, and they were holy, with wagons, very, very important. And this is Bronze Age and pre-Bronze Age, even in the Nordic Bronze Age remnants. So we'd come up here, walk past just down here and up to these large longhouses that were up by the, if you can see the stone wall that is marking this area as a, this was Norway's first national park back in 1935, actually. So on this field here, right there, is where the church is today. That is where they had their sacred place. The most sacred place, of course, is where the Christians put their churches on top. So they would walk from their boats down there, right on this path, up to the longhouse. And they know about 3 longhouses from different periods, I imagine. So they'd walk here in a procession and up to this longhouse, and the largest one was about 90 meters, up to 90 meters long. I mean, the powerhouse that was here, ooh, that's something special. It's amazing, and it's great to walk here. We would have to imagine this place without any trees at all, and there were lots of Viking ships here, and all these houses up here. I'm actually on my way up to Kim, who writes the book, is my co-author on this book about the Viking Age. It's a very peculiar book. It's funny. We're having lots of fun writing it because we're so much interesting things to talk about that we try to get in paper and not get ahead of ourselves, because we both are have a deep passion for history. So Kim has invited me up to the Viking center. I guess they put up a small center here. Well, many years ago. So they're gonna rebuild it soon. It's not very practical, but that's where they will have a talk tonight, where they will actually look at some of these processions, and also sledging in the winter time, as I understand. And this person who holds the talk, he is an expert on the hill fortresses that were around in this area. As I told you, the watershed would come down here, so it was very, very important to have contact, maintain relationships up. And I guess this is it. I just wanted to share this with you from, you see the old farm is still up there, but the longhouses were much closer. But you see the church up there also. And this is indeed one of the most I guess well-kept Viking places to visit. They have the Midgard Viking Center here. And Tønsberg, the city of Tønsberg is close by here, which they call the oldest town, or city, I guess. Well, let's call it town. That's much better. In Norway, actually. But you can obviously see the water that's been around here, and as you may know, the separation with water was very important for these ceremonies. I mean, the burial mounds were put where people would travel back and forth by sea here, but this is also in the Bronze Age. You see they put up these røyser where people would travel, and inland, of course, always you have to go through the burial mounds. And this is the same as they did with the Kurgan burials on the steppes in the east. So this is a really old tradition, and they would even use them as road maps, so you would know where to go to or where you are when visiting these old places. And the ceremonies here, the thing with water around, they believe that's this sort of like bridge. It's an enclosure, which actually the word town is from tun. We still say in Norway tun, meaning an enclosure of houses, and the tun is in the middle. In Celtic it's dun, and German also, and Old English. So tun, town, is symbolic here for this enclosure. And when you're on the inside, that's when you can have these ceremonies, and you can enter these bridges in the mythology and go into another world, in a sense. And I guess maybe all these thousands of people who come here every year try to find some remnants of that while falling down drunk, as I understand from the top there. I don't know. And actually now on the other side we can see where the big metal Viking festival, metal Viking festival, it's called the Midgardsblot, every August. It's over there. You see that? So on the other side, the first week of July is where they have, or the first weekend of July is where they have this huge Viking market. And on this side is where they have the Midgardsblot, which is the second weekend of August every year. And I really, really recommend it. Vardruna, Heilung, all the big bands love to play here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed these few minutes with me here. I just wanted to share what is going on. And then it's time for me to say goodbye and take care.